Welcome. My name is Dr. Margot Sunderland, and I'm Director of Innovation and Research at Trauma Informed Schools UK. I'm delighted to showcase the work of Josh Tyers, head teacher at Biscovey Academy, Cornwall, a school in an area of severe deprivation. 1/3 of the children have a history of trauma. When Josh took over as head teacher in 2020, he said chairs spent more time in the air than on the floor. At 9:30 in the morning, he would watch out of his window teachers walking out and not coming back. Supply staff would do a day and never return until it was nigh impossible to get any supply staff. The children were constantly angry with each other, so they had to be taught in split classes. Exclusions were the highest in the county. Josh trained with Trauma Informed Schools UK. He attended the 11-day diploma course and then moved from being a graduate to being a trainer. What he showcases now are TISUK interventions, creatively adapted and in some cases added to, as you will see.
Hello, my name's Josh Tyers and I'm head of school at Biscovey Academy, and I'm also a TIS trainer as well. And I'm going to talk to you over the next kind of 10 minutes or so about a 3-year school improvement kind of journey, whereabouts we've kind of embedded this culture of trauma-informed schools. And what's really important for me is that we're not just trauma-informed, but we're trauma-responsive. So we know this incredible information, this incredibly life-changing, powerful information. What have we done about it? And so this is what we've done about it. So, to give you a little overview, what makes us special, 56% of the pupils that are on our roll live in the most deprived 0 to 40% of lower super output areas within England. So what we see levels of deprivation equivalent to inner city London, Birmingham and Manchester. The number of pupils on roll that are eligible for pupil premium, free school meals, is currently 1/3 of the school, so the best part of 100 children. That is well above national. We've got 39% of the school that have social, emotional, mental health needs. And at the point at which that I took over in September 2020, we had issued the highest amount of fixed term exclusions within the county. What we also have as part of our school is we know that 1/3 of our school have an A score of higher than 3. How do we know that? So we know that in 2 ways. We build really strong relationships with our parents. So in the event that we need to, we can sit with our parents and conduct the ACE questionnaire. But equally, we know enough about our children's story to kind of build an accurate picture of where we're at in terms of ACEs within our setting. Relationships are placed at the heart of all that we did, and I wanted to build a curriculum that matched the community's needs. Okay. And so just to give you an update and an overview of what it is that I stepped into, and I will tone it down substantially. Here's some of the things. So we saw dysregulated adults trying to regulate dysregulated children. We had high rates of staff absence. We saw several school leaders come and go for no fault of the trust. I work as part of the most incredible academy trust, who are nothing but supportive. But for one reason or another, we weren't able to secure leadership at the time, and therefore kind of they did what they thought was best and what they could at the time. We were blacklisted from supply agencies, and that's no word of a lie either. We had to split classes up because they were just so angry at each other. They just couldn't be together. So it was just safer for them to be split. We couldn't do stuff like Hot Chocolate Club because it became far too dangerous for us to run. Forest School refused to take our pupils because it was becoming too dangerous, and staff would quite literally walk out by 9:30. Like, I remember seeing them through this window walk down the drive, going, "This is too much for me." And so what we saw this domino effect. We had significant SMH needs, we had inadequate provision, we had high levels of exclusion, and we had high levels of staff absence. And for me, insanity, this is not my definition. Albert Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we had to strip it back. We had to rethink. And as I said in the beginning, we know that no significant learning takes place without a significant relationship. These children need to feel held. They need to feel seen, and they need to feel safe. And that's what we needed to prioritize. And that's what we did. Disclaimer, don't dip your toe in. And I say that because if you're going to do something, do it well. Do it, step into it wholeheartedly. Don't just go, I've got a TIS trained practitioner and that's their job to sort it out. This starts with me. It then goes to my senior leadership team. It then goes to my extended senior leadership team. Then goes to my teachers, my support staff, my cooks, my cleaners, everybody. This is an everybody thing, but it has to be driven from the top. So don't just dip your toe in. Embrace this. Embrace this not as a scheme that's going to sort out all your behavior needs, but as a way of being. That means people feel like they are valued and that they are important, because they are. They massively are. And that children feel important and valued and safe within your organisation.
I've come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in the classroom. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess a tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humour, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a child humanised or dehumanised. Dr. Hayam Jinot.
And so we needed a way in for staff to go, do you know what? This is about me. This is about my own way of being with children and adults. And we needed to kind of reevaluate that, and for them to realize it, not just kind of for us to go around with a stick beating them around it, for them to reevaluate, to reflect and go, do you know what? This is about me. This is about how I interact with children. And this was the biggest and most powerful thing that we kind of initially did with staff, is they read this and they went, I get it. And that was our starting point. And because what we know is, and what Paul Dix has kind of shown us, is that troubled children may not follow rules, but they absolutely will follow a person. So for us, it was incredibly important that all of our children had a person. And that person was an emotionally available adult, and they all had access to them. So we needed to define what that will look like. We needed to train staff on it. We needed to kind of outline our expectations for it. Like we went full shebang, fully involved, fully embraced. Julie's in. We've got other trauma-informed practitioners in. We trained staff. We went fully out there with it. And so what it did, and what we kind of, what that dipping the toe in looked for us, well, it underpinned school development plans, Seth. It underpinned policy. It underpinned leader interactions with staff. It underpinned adult interactions with parents. It underpinned adult interactions with children, how we recruited our CPD offer to staff, how we raised the profile of it, the wellbeing offer that we put in place, how we fostered this idea of botheredness and ensured that it was in place and kind of rippling through the school, what this supervision offer for all looked like. And then finally, what does the curriculum look like? And how's that underpinned by this kind of trauma responsive culture that we're kind of embedding? Here's your question and what we expect you to be working on over the course of the year. What are you doing to ensure every child in your class feels seen and safe? And we would factor that into performance management. We would factor that into monitoring. We would factor that into people progress meetings. And we would ask questions around, what are you doing? What's those meet and greets look like? How are you what's your in-class rewards look like? What does those adult interactions look like? And we would monitor them as a subject. And it kind of initially it started with a relationship policy. So kind of this governs adult and children's responses and interactions. So if you work at Biscovey, what do I expect from you in terms of how you interact with adults, stakeholders, and children? It then kind of fed into our behaviour support policy. And within our class, we have behaviour horizons. We kind of catch those good behaviours and we reward them for it. We give them a positive postcard home. And what we kind of put in place there was restorative practice. So if you end up on white, then it is the person that where the relationship has broken down, where that restorative conversation needs to take place. So if the relationship has broken down between pupil and TA, the restorative conversation is between pupil and TA, not pupil and teacher.
So in a trauma-responsive school, there are restorative conversations instead of shaming punishments. These foster social engagement in students rather than social defensiveness and support higher brain reflective functioning.
What were you thinking when she got you out?
Mum was like, why did she get me out? I'm her best friend.
What are you thinking about right now?
I'm just like thinking like that if she doesn't stop it, like it'll be hard to make friends again.
Okay, and how are you feeling?
A bit upset.
So how were you feeling them at the beginning of PE?
When things get boisterous, I feel sad just in case anyone gets hurt. I think it affects everyone.
Now, do you think anyone's been affected in this?
Who do you think affected, Jamie?
And I just wondered if you wanted to just tell me who you feel's been affected.
That's what you need to happen now.
What do you think you need, Caitlin?
What do you need, Alia, that will help you?
Okay, Matt, what do you need to put this right?
What do you think you need to do to sort of repair the harm?
Can you tell me what you need to happen from this, Samantha, to put it right?
We kind of threw loads of CPD at it, so much CPD at it, and I couldn't showcase all of it. So as soon as they came back after COVID, we prioritised containment and bubbles of botheredness, and we brought Julie, one of the directors of TIS, in. We then looked at the language and embedding this idea of kind of a trauma-responsive language and getting that in place so that all adults were clear and we had a level of consistency around the language that we were using within our everyday interactions with children. So we wanted to outline, if you work here, this is what we expect from you, and this is the stuff that I'm not willing to budge on.
So here are some of Josh's non-negotiables. All staff will approach behaviour from a position of social engagement, not social defence. Behaviour is everybody's responsibility. What you walk past, you accept. First attention for best conduct. Focus on the positive. Ensure positive phone calls home are happening each week. All teachers will meet and greet their pupils each morning. Consistent use of whine and pace. These are ways of being with children which ensure engagement, not defensiveness. So let's just look at a few of these now further. This is meet and greet.
All right, come on in. We start each day by greeting every kid at the door. Good morning, Declan.
You look pretty, Miss Turner.
Thank you, baby.
And now on to PACE. So all teachers need to be using PACE, as do all school staff. This is Dr. Dan Hughes, originator of PACE, which means play, acceptance, curiosity, and empathy. And here he talks about the intervention. Play means playful social engagement. Acceptance means I accept the feelings. Behaviour can be wrong, feelings never can be wrong. Curiosity, would you help me understand? And empathy, really imagining in and empathizing with the pain. Oh, that must be awful. He talks about the intervention here.
Then I realized this attitude of being playful, accepting, curious, and empathic really helps the person to feel safe with me. I accept them. My curiosity is no judgment. My empathy is right there, so I'm with them to support them around the hard times. And it leaves them feeling this person gets it and isn't judging me. And it helps me to inhibit a tendency just to focus on their behavior, whether it's they did something they shouldn't do or the behavior of trauma, or whatever it is, their behavioral response. If I get distracted by the behavior and don't develop a context of what it means, I'll probably leave the kid with his shame or his fear. Or, I might react with anger at him because he misbehaved, because that's all I see is the behavior. Pace guards me from that. If I have a paceful attitude, then my job is to understand what is the meaning of that behavior and always accept the meaning. So I'm curious about the thoughts, the feelings, the wishes, the intention, the perception that led to the behavior. And when I go there, it's going to be much easier for the child to feel safe with me and for me not to react to the behavior, but to make sense of the behavior. Then we can know what to do about it, if we need to do anything about it.
So here's an example of using playful interaction, PACE. This leads to cooperation, whereas punishing interaction leads to conflict.
No, you're not running away, Jamie, because it's not safe to run away. You're staying here till I find out what Jordan's going to do, and then we'll find a place that you can go where you'll be safe. And you can take some colouring with you and some of our nice crayons, okay? We'll be going and look at the pictures and see. Mum will go pick one so you can colour, and we'll get the good crayons from our room, will we? One, let's go. Up a daisy. One, help me up, I'm stuck, I'm very old. You'll need to help me up, I'm stuck. Help me up, help me up. Oh, right, this way to the room. Let's go look at the pictures. Let's go look at the pictures. Stand up for me. Well, we'll just have to sit here, and everybody who comes past will say, why is Jamie lying on the floor? Has he fallen over? Can he not get up? And I'll have to say, you'll need to step over him, because he's like a big lump lying in the middle of the corridor. What are you going to do if somebody goes like this? Boom! Oh, sorry, I thought it was a rug. What will you do then? No, we're not running away. Well, this is what we can do. We can go and get pictures from the colouring box, because you did a very good picture this morning. It was beautiful. We can go and do that. Right, let's go then. Give me your hand and we'll go and have a look in my special colouring book. Give me your hand, I'll pull you up. 1. Oh. 2. Oh. Let's go.
And now Josh will talk about staff recruitment and how he assesses capacity for empathy at interview.
We needed to consider recruitment. So for various other reasons, it came to a point where we were working in an environment that might not necessarily be for everybody. So we wanted to be kind of really clear on, this is how we recruit people. And we wanted to do it through a trauma-informed lens. So in terms of a kind of a structure for employing people, we wanted to make sure that trauma-informed approach underpinned everything that we did. So to give you a very quick overview of what we do here, within that group process, what we're looking for, and we hold it as kind of a 5-minute model. So 2 minutes talking, 2 minutes response, and 1 minute for them to kind of say what it felt like to be heard and responded to. We pose a question. So talk to me about a time that you've really found challenging within your career or in the past year. And then the group respond to them in an empathic way. Such an insightful thing, and so kind of useful for them to kind of meet each other prior to the day. We then obviously factor in a teaching task. Within that, we're looking for kind of relationships. We're looking for their ability to teach, obviously, but we're looking for them to kind of present as somebody that would fit our school nicely. There's then an in-tray task, and that's based on kind of an empathic response. So we give them a scenario that kind of crops up day to day here. So we've received an Operation Encompass call. A child's coming in next, 20, 25 minutes. This is what's happened. What are you going to do about it? We then give them a sand tray. Now, this was the most controversial thing that we probably did, but the most powerful thing as well. So this was their sand tray work. So we set up the tables. It was conducted by one of my TIS leads. And then this was some of their responses. So these are some of the sand trays from the candidates, and these are some of the responses that they kind of gave to us through their sand tray work. So the soldiers represent us all being there for each other, supporting each other, even when things get tough. The shells are the calm space that I want to create in my classroom, an area that provides safe space for children to go to. Okay, so from a task that was a bit out there, we got some of the most incredible information from it. We got emails from candidates that were unsuccessful. I'm emailing to say thank you for the opportunity to visit and interview for the position in your school. You and all your staff were so welcoming, and the whole experience, this interview, team meeting was so lovely, so thank you. For me, that was the best thing ever. The fact that they've come in, they've got a feel for the school, that this is a welcoming, inviting school that's bothered about them as an individual was so important. I want to look at how we're embedding this concept of trauma-informed schools. How are we embedding this ethos? How are we embedding pace? How are we kind of responding to children empathically? I wanted to see where we were at with it, and I wanted to monitor it as a subject. So that's what we do. We run it as a subject. We do learning walks around it. We do pupil voice around it. We do feedback to staff around it. We do CPD around what it is, what areas of development have come out of that learning walk. And all of that's done by my TIS lead. We've got a clear TIS rationale for kind of allocating support to children. They come onto the program of support. They go through a journey with my trauma-informed practitioners, and then there's a clear exit criteria after. I insist on, so one of my non-negotiables, I said the word again, BA way, is the use of wine. So we have children in a position of social defence. We approach them using the language of wine. God, I imagine that you're really struggling today because it's maths and it's really hard, isn't it? Or what I notice is every time it's French, you're always in the corridor. Can you help me understand why? We're reviewing the behaviour support policy constantly. We want that to be kind of an evolving document. We're tracking interventions with clear exit criteria. We're constantly upskilling staff, providing CPD, and building a mini army in school. And as I said, we do it through learning walks. Building an army in school is really important as well, because what we found is I've got two TIS practitioners, and to kind of get to and kind of all of the children that needed it was borderline impossible. So what we needed was this kind of cascaded CPD offer. And this is what we kind of, we handpicked the best part of, I think it was 6 or 7 TAs, and we took them through kind of a 5-week cycle of training. We taught them about containment and botheredness and the language. We gave them kind of attachment theory and attachment games. We kind of gave them an understanding around sand trays. We used big empathy drawing and taught them kind of all about the importance of it. And we looked at kind of social defence and social engagement and how we can kind of best get alongside children when they're in a position of social defence. Stage 3 is 2 sessions a week, but this is kind of historical unprocessed trauma, historical safeguarding concerns, current observable changes in behaviour, and a complete lack of emotionally available adult at home. Stage 4, they get 3 sessions per week, again, very similar to stage 3, based on the fact that they don't have an emotionally available adult at home, but are presenting with kind of suicidal thoughts, self-harming behaviours, and are currently in a position where there is kind of domestic violence, divorce, or recent loss within the family. Additional to that, and as part of a whole school offer, we have daily check-ins. We have kind of one-to-one 15-minute sessions with their TAs in class. We have meet and greets, and we kind of we run a nurture group at lunchtime and break times that equip children with the skills they need to go out and be successful in the playground. We log it as we would do any kind of subject monitoring work. My TIS lead has an intervention log. And then, as I was talking about exit criteria, we want to get the children on the program. We want to give them the skills they need in order to kind of process the trauma that they've been through. But what we don't necessarily want, and it may be the case, we don't necessarily want them on them for the 6 years they're with us. So what we wanted is a real clear kind of exit criteria for, do you know what, we've recognized the need, we've put in a level of support, and now what we can see is X, Y, and Z. And for us, the exit criteria was they're able to name the pain, so they can affect label. We've seen them move from block trust to trust. We can see that they've developed a coherent narrative over time and are able to articulate that. And they begin to practice self-regulation using the techniques taught throughout the therapeutic work. So they're the kind of 4 criteria that we work on. If we see that, we put them back into class, but we check on them frequently. So they'll still get check-ins, but they just won't get that kind of bespoke therapeutic offer. And we gather that pupil voice. Pupil voice, I'm not going to kind of talk too much about that, but we track the emotional landscape and then we do something about it. And that's what I'm so keen on. So if you gather pupil voice for the sake of gathering pupil voice, you're doing something wrong. But if we say we get pupil voice, we listen and then we do something about it and then we put it out there to show all that, you know what, we've listened to you. This is what we've done. That's the point of pupil voice for me. So for us, children were coming back saying, yeah, we feel real safe in school, but I don't always feel like you value what it is that goes on outside of school for me. So we listen to that. We've got parents and carers to send in all of the great stuff that they do outside of school. We raised the profile of it on the newsletter, raised the profile of it in celebration assembly, and we've got a display that showcases all the amazing stuff that goes on outside of school for these children. Okay, so we listen to them. And we kind of wanted to base it on human hungers. So to meet basic human hungers. So recognition hunger, stimulation hunger, and structure hunger were the three. We went for kind of, obviously the base being recognition hunger. How do we do that in our school? So we recognise birthdays. We recognise staff are going above and beyond. We allocate them days for attending weddings. They can attend their children's performances, sports days, if they're a new parent, graduation days, and just the power of saying thank you for the work that you're doing. So at Biscovey, we meet your recognition hunger there. We meet your stimulation hunger. We have one main event every half term. We have a Christmas do, end of year do, curry nights, staff buffets where they bring a plate, staff sports days, and a wellbeing breakfast, because there's nothing wrong with a wellbeing breakfast. And then structure hunger. So they know where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, and what they're doing. So school-based systems and processes, marking policies, school timetables, processes of staff cover, senior leader release time, set PPA days. So they're not kind of, when's my PPA coming? Clear policies and procedures, relentless routines, not just for children, but for staff as well. Are so incredibly important. Okay, so that's kind of our well-being offer and what underpins that well-being offer. Supervision, I'm the biggest advocate of supervision. It's so incredibly important that people are given a space where they can kind of take what's not bearable and kind of hand it over to someone who can then reflect it back to them and go, do you know what? I can see things are really tough. Have you thought about this? Okay, so we have a wellbeing offer, supervision offer, in place. I access it kind of fortnightly. My assistant heads access it collectively half-termly. Teachers then access it, led by my senior leadership team, and then my teaching assistants access it, led by their teachers. Okay, so important that it's a space where people feel heard, where they feel validated, but not a space to moan in. Okay, I say that kind of with the best intentions. It's a really purposeful space. It's a space for people to bring what it is that they're struggling with and work through it collectively. Okay, we can work through any kind of gripes or groans that people may have in other spaces, but this is a real purposeful, practical space. So Biscovey Academy is a place where everybody dreams big. We built a curriculum around big dreams, and we called it our Dare to Dream curriculum. And our key drivers for that were aspirations, were curiosity or ignites, and were diversity. So D's diversity, R's for rules, E's for empathy, A's for aspirations, M's for motivation, and S is for success. And every term we focus on one of those values. But every Dreams Assembly, we recite our school poem. Okay, we sing our school anthem of A Million Dreams. And then we've got dreams. Oh, we've got dreams. So I've got a dream team. And what I wanted from this dream team is to install this idea that, you know what, anything is possible. I didn't know if it was at the time. Turns out it is. But this is about developing this idea and a school that's based on experience that they might not get if we don't provide it to them. So we stopped on 10 big dreams to have achieved by the time they leave year 6. So we've got everything from visit a city, watch live sport, go to a theatre, skydive indoors. That was tricky to do anything other. Hold a concert on the field, visit a university, take part in a musical, visit museums, fly on a plane, record a single. Everything on that list is possible. Even flying on a plane, believe it or not. We take children to Bath. We take children to Cardiff. We're taking 50 children next week to watch 2020 cricket in Somerset. We take children to theatres in London, skydiving, Basingstoke's the closest one. It takes effort. But when you've got a team that are bothered and are invested in what it is that we're selling, and the belief that this trauma responsive approach is front and centre, they will go above and beyond. That's the plane we go on. I know. And he's an ex-pupil. So cool. But we show you what's possible. We show you ex-pupils that have gone on to do well. We have Careers Day where we invite them in to talk through their careers, what they do, how they got there, what they got from school, and how that's kind of given them the skills they need in order to progress further in the career. We have local councillors, so vice chairman of Cornwall Council came to our school. We've got rugby players, we've got teachers, we've got RAF pilots, we've got nurses, all of which want to give back, and all of which show our children what is possible if you believe it to be. Here's some of the places we go. So what's the impact? The impact is significant. The impact is significant. If you don't dip your toe in, if you commit wholeheartedly to it, the impact is significant. Supply costs. I had a 6-figure supply outgoing. I have no outgoings for supplies. My exclusion rate was the highest in the county. I now don't have any. My attendance was significantly below average, with a significantly above average persistent absentees. It is now in line with average, in line with national, and my persistent absentees is well below national. My teacher retention is, I want to say nothing's perfect. I have no teacher turnover. I have one teacher that's left in the last 2 years because they needed to relocate. Okay, people want to be here because it's a lovely and amazing and incredible place to be, where teachers are bothered, staff are bothered, and the offer to these children is based on community need. But it took time to get here. It took a long time to get here. Well, my top tip is, 1, don't dip your toe in. Commit wholeheartedly and do nothing else. Believe in this. Embrace it from the top down. Make sure that it is what colours your water, and make sure that when you cut your open, you read TIS through the middle of it. And don't just be informed. Be responsive. We can give you all this incredibly powerful, purposeful information, but what you do with it is the most important thing. Thanks for listening.